Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Devotee of Athena. In the first episode, I discussed with you essentially why I decided to call this channel Devotee of Athena and what that means to me. In today's episode, I'm going to discuss my spiritual journey before I became pagan. Of course, in the present day, I am pagan. That is how I identify spiritually. And I will be discussing my pagan journey in more depth in future episodes. But today, I thought I'd give you a little bit of background, first of all, into how my spirituality looked before I became pagan. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, while today I identify as pagan, this wasn't always the case. It wasn't until I was 12 years old that I discovered Wicca. And even then, I didn't exclusively use the term pagan until I was around 17 years old. While I didn't exclusively use the term pagan until I was 17, I consider my time under the Wiccan label as time in which I was pagan. Therefore, this video will be discussing my path before that point. My first experiences of religion and faith came in the form of church. As a young child, my family went to church every Sunday, where I would attend Sunday school. I knew my church was a Methodist church, but at that time, I thought all churches were the same. We were all Christian, right? I would hear stories of the Bible every Sunday. I would pray each night before bed. I would read or be read religious stories and would frequently visit Buckfast Abbey with my Catholic grandparents. My dad's parents were Catholic, while my mum's were Protestant. So that's quite the mix. I remember when we had our first ever religious studies class in primary school, and we were asked if we believe in God. I was truly shocked to find out that my friend did not believe in God, and at that young age, I couldn't fathom it. Before that point, I believed that what I was being taught in church was the way of the world. I had no idea that there were other religions or belief systems, let alone that there were people that did not know or believe in God. What I did know was that I believed in God. I have siblings who are agnostic and atheist, despite sharing the same upbringings. I had a conversation with one of them because I found it interesting that I remain spiritual while they don't. The key difference is that I have had some sort of spiritual experience in which I felt connected to the divine, while they had not. I say the divine rather than God because my beliefs have evolved. Yet I do believe that had it not been for those early experiences with God, I too could very easily be atheist. I never heard God's voice, but when I would pray or speak to God or the angels, I would get a deep feeling of love and acceptance. The only way I can describe connection to the divine is that it's like an emotion flowing into you, like a wave from your head down to your toes. And that emotion hasn't come from you, but it's being given to you, like a response to whatever you have sent out. And it is these experiences which made me a believer. I always looked forward to Sundays because not only did I experience community in a way I did not outside church, but I also got the chance to have divine experiences and really feel God. This is something I lost in the latter part of my childhood as we stopped going to church. Despite the fact that we stopped going to church, I still believed in something other than myself and spent much of my childhood spiritually exploring. At one point in my childhood, I made my own religion called Oceanus, in which the universe was a vast ocean where two whales had come together, creating and birthing the earth. I was obsessed with the ocean at that point in my childhood and did feel spiritually connected to it. But I was also missing my experiences of church, which spurred me to create my own religion. Of course, it didn't last very long. I was encouraged and supported to find my own faith and beliefs by my parents, which I am very lucky for, and so I did take an interest in Buddhism. My dad was also interested in Buddhism and lent me books about it as a child, and I did adopt a regular meditation practice for some time. While I saw a lot of value in Buddhism, it was still not the path for me, though one thing stuck with me throughout my childhood and right through to this day: my love of fairies. This is what eventually led me to reading the Fairy Bible and other spiritual or New Age books of a similar theme. I was obsessed with fairies. I had art, statues, books galore, all on the topic of fairies. The Fairy Bible was the book that changed my path, as it is where I first came across the Wheel of the Year, spells, offerings, rituals, and altars. I did not know the gods yet, but already my path was beginning to take hold. It was not long after this when I discovered the Spell Bible, which was my first comprehensive introduction into witchcraft, eventually reading the Wicca Bible by the same author, which is where my journey into paganism really began. To learn more about my journey with Wicca and paganism, stay tuned for the next video. Until then, if what I have to say interests you, please come along for the ride as we step forward on this path. You and I, Athena and I. Whatever you decide, may your days be full of peace. Goodbye.